Well, Kim, I just have the hardest time keeping this under 10 minutes for YouTube. Okay, this is my, these are earthen beds. And what's happening here is, I just filled this up and it overfilled, but it's, that's the sump tank in here. I can't take it off with one hand, but you can hear it now. It doesn't usually, there it goes. So that's the pump in there, and it's a little tiny 8-watt pump. And what's happening here is there's the water that's being driven up by an airlift pump, and then the water flows through here to the bottom. It goes straight down to the bottom. You can see that. Okay, so that goes straight down to the bottom of these beds, and there's an air gap of about 2 inches. If you look right here, you can see right here, that is where the water level is. Right here is where the rock level is, and there's an air gap right in here. And that water wicks up into these beds, and a few inches down, it turns to nice moist soil. So I also talked to you about a retaining wall. Okay, this I thought it was a little taller, but okay, it's 3 blocks high. I did not even put a footing in here. It's just laid right onto the dirt, which I pretty much leveled out, and then I put some sand down to keep it all perfectly level, and I just built this wall. And what I did was I filled it in with dirt. Okay, so maybe if it was water there would be a little more outward pressure, but I'm looking for some of these cells. I think this, well, I can't really tell. Some of these cells are filled with concrete. Just a little bit, just to keep the wall from collapsing. But it doesn't have to be all filled with concrete. So it's a fairly inexpensive way to build a wall. I mean, you can do it yourself, you can do it quick and cheap, and so that's what I would suggest. I was telling you about the wicking beds. Now these barrels are wicking barrels. You can see this is where I put the water in. That's where the water level is. They've been cut in thirds, and this top third is turned over. There's some ropes that hang down into the water below, and the water wicks up into the soil here and just inches down. It's nice and cool and moist. So these were all just planted just last 2-3 days. I think I've got time to show you one more system here. So these are also earthen beds. I can hardly see anything through all the foliage here, but same thing pretty much. We got the water flowing in here, and then it flows out down here, and it goes underground to the sump tank. Now this is a pretty traditional, this used to be a pretty traditional aquaponics system that, well, you can hardly see it there, but there is an IBC in there, and that used to be the fish tank, and then this was these two were right here were my grow beds, and everything returns to the sump. So that's running on, this system right here is still running on one pump, and then all the rest of this out here is running on another pump. And this right here is a bunk feeder, which I use for a wicking area. Again, I'm all into wicking, but this just sits in water. I mean, this is duckweed growing right there, and you know, a lot of people think, well, what roots are only good for some plants? Well, here's an aloe vera. Here's a prickly pear. I've got another prickly pear. Oh, it's over there. There's a prickly pear. So, yeah, nonsense. You can grow just about everything in standing water. I mean, I wouldn't say standing because there is just a little bit of a trickle happening here. Not a lot, but you know, it does move the water through and gives it nutrients. Same thing with this. I mean, these are my my other earthen beds, and the water returns back to the sump down from here. Okay, we're inside now. This is my aquaponics room. This is my fish tank. It's nothing more than a bathtub. It's a 6-foot bathtub though. This is a radial filter. And this is my grow bed where I'm once again using wicking. And this is my water coming in from the airlift pump. I could run about 1,200 gallons of water through here per hour. The pump is a 200 liter per minute Eco Plus. Runs at 95. It's rated at 200, but it runs at 95 watts. So I've got 2 radial filters. And the way the flow works is it comes from the grow bed over and out right here. That's where the water's coming out into the fish tank, and then it goes back down and goes into this radial filter, and it also goes into this radial filter. And each has an airlift pump, and the airlift pump brings the water back out. And this went to the grow bed, and that one over to the fish tank again. And this is my pond. And my pond is completely separate from any of the ponics. Growing some star jasmine, cattails, fig tree, 2 different kinds of ivy, million bells. This is a bear's breech, and this is a lingularia. Now, you could, if you wanted, make a nice pond like this, make it beautiful, soften the edges with the ivy and other plants, just leaving maybe one small area that you can walk up to and stand on. But if you go all the way around the rock, it doesn't look all that nice. There is some concrete in this. I cannot use this for growing vegetables because vegetables require too low a pH and it would destroy the concrete. But if you didn't use any concrete in yours, you just use a pond liner. If you wanted to build up with some blocks like I did over there, just fill those block cores with concrete and make yourself some kind of a container for putting a pond liner in, and you'd be good to go. And then I would say, make your pond with the waterfalls and streams, and then just take a whole separate pump and just run the water continuously from the pond through any of your grow beds. And personally, what I would do is I would do wicking tables where you have a very shallow amount of water running through, and you just use some pots. And in my streams here, I use those cloth pots. Well, I better quit this before I get too long.